Hello, hi, welcome to another DualShockers discussion video with my buddy here, Michael Ruiz. I am Mario Rivera. How's it going, Michael? How you doing?
You know, Mario, I've been thinking a lot lately.
What have you been thinking about? And is it me?
I've been very angry. And
What?
you know what I always want to do when I'm angry?
What do you want to do when you're angry? Oh God!
I want to crush.
I knew what you were drinking, and I fell right into that. I fell right.
Sorry for the hot mic, everybody.
No, it's a good thing I have a limiter, so that way you just explode everybody's eardrums. Well, that's good.
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm
good.
Doing all right.
Yeah. Okay. No, yeah, I'm sure you are. Well, thank you, Michael, for that. By the way, today we're starting off great. They should have never gave us this platform. Today we are here, of course, to talk about the soon-to-be released new game from Mojang. Am I saying it correctly? I've always had problems saying it.
I think so.
I'm going to call them Mojang. They have a new logo. It looks really cool. And and of course with Microsoft Studios. And I believe they partnered with another team. Is that correct?
It's Xbox Game Studios.
Game Studios. There you go.
Actually. And
Mojang
then,
and who else?
And then Double 11, which I think does a lot of port stuff.
Okay.
For example, like console ports. So, for example, they did Goat Simulator. I think they did the console port for that.
All right. This is a glow up for sure. All right.
yeah. I was looking at what they did, and I'm like, they haven't really made like their own thing, and it just seems like console ports and stuff. But yeah, I mean, whatever, man.
I mean, good on them. Well, they've teamed up with Microsoft. They've teamed up with Mojang, and now we have the second Minecraft spin-off game that we've had in the last couple of years.
I think it's technically the third.
The third?
Because there's the Telltale one.
Oh, you're right.
And then there's then wait,
the Niantic Minecraft Earth.
Yeah. Minecraft Earth. Did Niantic do that?
I believe yes. I believe so.
I know it's an augmented reality thing,
Yeah.
and the first thing that comes to mind is obviously Niantic, because they also did the Harry Potter and the Pokemon and the Pokemans.
Actually, they might have. Okay, you're right. They might not have done it. Well, you know what? This show is always accurate because it's all about discussions about people talking. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You Google it later. You'll find that out.
Yeah.
But the reason why we're here is because yes, it's coming out very, very soon. You got a chance to play the game. For myself, I am. I would say I'm a hardcore when it comes to Minecraft. I was very much an early generation of Minecraft when it came out, especially on the 360 era. I made it all the way to the Ender Dragon. We've taken down the Ender Dragon. We have destroyed the egg. You know, that's how far I got with Minecraft. I played it, dabbled with it a couple of times since then. It's definitely gotten way more advanced. Yourself, Michael, when was the last time that have you played Minecraft?
I think the last time I played Minecraft was maybe like 3 years ago.
Really?
I don't really know. It would have been, there was a moment in my life, a little bit too personal stuff, but there was a point where I had to move in with my friend and his family and his parents. And my friend and I would play a bunch of games together. Minecraft was one of those games that we played a ton together where we just, honestly, we didn't really progress in anything. We just played survival mode for some reason, but then tried to build within survival mode. So we tried to build these like big giant castles, specifically on like giant hilltops.
100%. That's what you do.
Because that's a cool thing. And then we tried to like build them like within the hill and then down deep. And it got into a process, and it never looked good. But it felt good. Like, it was cool. Minecraft's awesome. Like, I think I know it's I guess maybe like a cliche. I don't know, maybe the right word, but like I think it is like legitimately like one of the best games of all time.
No, for sure.
Like it's awesome. It's super fun. You can be super creative. The stuff that people make are insane in that game sometimes. But yeah, I played a lot. I played a lot of Minecraft for sure.
No, for sure. I mean, it's one of the first games that I realized that you can make a working calculator in, which is just insane. Yeah. Or obviously, you know, people would be sculptors and sculpt like fine art, and like they had in the entirety of like Westeros when like a long back in the day when they had this game. So yeah, people have taken Minecraft and made so many wonderful things, and now Microsoft and Mojang have now basically have allowed Telltale to play with that series, craft a story within the world of Minecraft. We have now the AR game, obviously, with Minecraft Earth, and now that brings us to this dungeon crawler-esque Diablo-like, if that's fair, Torchlight-like dungeon crawler loot gather game. I mean, can you speak more of that to what's going on in Minecraft Dungeons?
Yeah, it's definitely more in the same vein of a Diablo. So it's a dungeon crawler, but more in that vein where it's an isometric camera. It's Diablo, like it has the isometric camera. Specifically, like if we're gonna compare it to Diablo 3, it does have like the dodge roll that you can use with the control stick, but that's on a cooldown, which isn't as cool, despite it being on a cooldown. It's just it's very easy, very simple. Not that Diablo really necessarily isn't easy and simple, but it is definitely in that same vein of a Diablo where you're going through a level. It's kind of explorable, but it's a linear experience for sure. But there's still room to explore and get loot and all that stuff. So it's one of those. It's one of those games.
No, for sure. Does it actually have a story, like a story that progresses?
It does, but
you sound very hesitant about that.
I didn't care about it. It's definitely a podcast game, right?
Really?
Like where you just could put music or something on, or a podcast or audiobook if you want to. Like if you like reading like a nerd. I mean, you could put something on in the background and just hit creepers and shit. But yeah, like, and that's kind of how I played it, to be honest. Like, the music in there is really good. It's Minecraft music, so the music's phenomenal. I think Minecraft's music is amazing, especially if you're looking for like soothing ambient piano music. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was lo-fi beats to me before lo-fi beats became lo-fi beats.
Yeah,
You know?
it's awesome. Like it's got a really good soundtrack for sure, and Minecraft itself has a really great soundtrack. I'm saying this kind of translates into it, it's definitely one of those things where you could just put something on and just beat up a bunch of pixelated whatever creatures and zombies and stuff. The story is weird. It's like this weird. This weird looking, like, what are the townspeople called in that game?
Villagers?
Are they
villagers? Yeah,
villagers. Like with they basically look like Squidward.
Yeah.
Well, there's just there's this one who I guess can float around and stuff, but he's like small and has a big head or something. And at some point, they kind of like he wanted to be part of this village, and then they're like, "No, you're terrible. You look ugly." And then and then he goes to this cavern and finds this cube that gives him power, and then he starts creating an army and starts capturing villages and stuff and like pillaging the villages, you know what I'm saying, and doing all that stuff. And you're basically just some hero trying to stop all of his schemes because he be scheming, and then
he be scheming.
Yeah, and then you're basically just trying to stop him the entire time. The with how it's laid out, and I'm going to kind of get more into. I'm just going to get into how the gameplay works, or how the story, how it flows, how the progression flows. Is that you start off in like a really short tutorial thing. It's honestly, the game's super straightforward. You could drop in honestly, I think if you're familiar with a video game or with any kind of like video game like this, I think you could just play around with buttons. You kind of understand what is happening. But if you're like kind of new to, if you don't really play a ton of video games, I think the tutorial level gets you the basics, and that's really all you need to know, honestly, throughout the entire thing, because it's pretty straightforward, which works in its favor. It doesn't work in its favor in some points, and we could get to that later. But
no, for sure.
So you're starting this tutorial level. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, as the video footage, for people who are watching it, we're watching actually the Xbox reveal from last year, the gameplay as we talk. So just want to confirm that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know what that looks like, to be honest.
It's just gameplay and people pop up, and I'm like, who are they? They're just people from Xbox. Don't worry about them.
Hi, Xbox. Yeah, like, well, after that first tutorial level, you're brought to, that first tutorial level is basically you establishing your camp. There is a camp section which acts as a hub, which I think would be more useful in a multiplayer setting. I didn't get to play multiplayer, unfortunately, but I think this game would definitely be really great as a multiplayer game. And there's some sort of progression with that area too, but I really don't know. They don't really tell you. It just starts popping up, and stuff becomes more available, but it really does nothing. It seems like it's just for show. It's weird. But yeah, it's just like a hub area, and there you have like a map table, and on that map table is like all the levels that are available. So after the first one, you really only have one other level available. You do that level, finish it or whatever, and then that's when it starts to really open up, and you have like I think 3 or 4 different levels to choose from. And since it's like that, you can kind of choose your path a little bit. The story isn't like super linear in that fashion, so it's like there's no connecting. Like it's like you do this, okay, the small Squidward did something bad, so we have to stop him from doing this. It's more that like you're going into separate parts of like stuff that he's doing in that moment, and you're trying to stop it. There are levels that connect to later levels that are in the story, like affect that part or something. Like I don't know if that makes sense. It's like there's a through line from one mission to another, but only for really two. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 6 different missions out of the. I don't know how many there are. I think there's like maybe 12 or 10. Something like that. It's
are these like main campaign missions? Like there's a set location for each of these things, or? Yeah,
I would say you would definitely have to, like, they're definitely all main missions. Like, I think you have to complete them all to really complete the game.
Got it.
There's not really a lot of like grinding or anything. Like, technically, you could probably. I'm not sure because you have to. There are 2 levels. Oh wait, yeah, you definitely have to play them all because I think you have to complete 2 levels to unlock like one of the other 2 levels that unlock after that, and then completing those 2 levels opens up the next level, and then completing that one opens the next level, which is the last level. Then you're done.
Got it. So it's still, even though there's some branching, like semi-branching, but really it's pretty straightforward. Just play the level. It's pretty straightforward,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you said something about leveling. Now, do you have levels like in say like a Diablo or in say like a clicker?
I would say it's more similar to like a Destiny.
Okay.
In that you have the level of your character.
Interesting.
Does Destiny still have levels for your character?
Well, you had a level for your character, if I'm not mistaken, but then you reach sort of a light level at a certain point.
And then you have light level. So this has kind of that. It's like you have your normal level, and then you have a power level.
Gotcha.
You're leveling normally, like your character, like it's there's the experience bar. You level it up. You get like a experience point, or in this, it's for points for enchantment. Enchantments, or an enchant point, or I don't remember exactly what they call it, but enchantments are essentially traits that are on your weapons that give you certain buffs or certain traits or abilities. So for example, like let's say you have a sword, right? And typically there are either 2 or 3 enchantments that you can choose from an enchantment menu, and that could be one of them could be like it increases the chance of looting, or it does fire damage, or it does lightning damage, or it does a poison AoE, or it does something like that,
Gotcha.
Or it gives you more health, or something like that. And so you'll start putting points into those. And that's basically the point of leveling your character, is to get those points to then enchant your weapons. And then the power level is how you kind of progress through the story and through like the different levels and different difficulties, because this game is like super replayable, I think. There are 3 different like main difficulties. I believe the first one's just default. The second one is adventure, and then the third one is apocalypse. And within those difficulties, each stage has its own like set difficulty, which I know Diablo kind of does, where it's like this is hell level like hell level 2 or hell difficulty level 5 or something like that. It's kind of like the same thing here, where if you're on adventure difficulty, there's each stage has like a number, like almost like a slider for like its own difficulty, which dictates how strong the enemies are and how good the rewards are that you get in each level.
Okay.
So there's definitely like a ton of replayability in terms of like trying to grind and get. I'm gonna get into like even reasons why Diablo is kind of dumb. And
Go
cars
ahead.
are dumb. And
Go
like
off, King.
I love Diablo, but like you're kind of grinding for. It's just like you're grinding for gear, but why are you grinding for gear in the first place? Is it just because you like the I don't know what the end goal is. You know what I mean?
Are you having an existential crisis right now?
Well, you know how, okay, so like in WoW, we're going on a tangent now, because so let's say in WoW, right? You're grinding for gear to then do the end game stuff, the raid, right? The raid is what you are going for, and the raid is usually like this big thing, a bunch of blah 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 blah. And then you like, but with Diablo, getting the gear is the end game. But why are you getting the gear? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Why are you getting it? There's no reason for the gear, just to do more difficulty. It doesn't make sense to me. Whereas like a WoW has like an actual like, maybe it's just like what the end game actually is. WoW's end game is like it's this piece of content, whereas Diablo's is like, well, you just get to do harder difficulty stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is kind of in that same vein for Minecraft Dungeons. It's just like you're getting better gear and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, I would say fairly that Minecraft is definitely more skewed towards younger people, younger kids. Now, for you being an adult as you are, were you able to find enjoyment? I mean, even if I played in my college years, I found enjoyment playing the base game. Now, it both being a dungeon crawler, like, is it too easy? Is it like not hard enough? Or because I'm watching the video and I see there's like a bunch of ads. There's so many ads that I like can't even count, and I wonder how different that is. If you had multiple people too. But go ahead if you can go ahead and explain your experience.
Yeah, I think in the beginning it's very easy. Mm-hmm. The like normal zombies, they only take it takes like a hit to kill them and then they're dead. Yeah. But then you'll see like there's like slight visual indicators to tell you like, oh, these enemies mean business. They're ready to kill. Sure. They're ready to slaughter. Like when you see a zombie with some metal, like some iron armor, that means it takes about 3 hits.
He's down the clown.
He's down to get wild. And he's ready to party, and he wants to kill you.
Definitely listen to Andrew WK before he came to fight you.
Yeah, party hard.
That's right.
Definitely, for sure. But yeah, he. I was gonna keep on going.
Thank you for showing restraint.
Yeah, there's definitely it's definitely easy in the beginning, but then I feel like once you get into the later, like maybe the last 4 levels, sure. I think it definitely spikes a bit. I think it does get harder. I did die in some instances. Definitely during boss instances, I definitely died. Okay. So each level you do have a set amount of lives, so you can't just continue.
Yeah.
You do have basically 3 chances. It's 2. I hated how lives work in video games, and because there's no constant.
Yeah.
This one, in some games it's like you got 3 lives, right? It says the number 3. And those are the amount of chances. But some games say you only have 2 lives, but you still have 3 chances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the life you're living, right, versus the life that you see ahead of you. This got very deep, more than I thought it would be.
But yeah, so this is the ladder, which I think is stupid. But actually, it makes more sense to me. The more I think,
is it stupid or does it make more sense to you? Are you having an epiphany?
Maybe,
oh my god!
That's just indicative of me. So I think. Anyway, So
you're just having a crushing feeling.
Yeah. So each level you have 3 chances to pass it. After the 3rd one, you have to restart the whole level over again.
I see.
Which is. That happened once and it was awful. It happened on the last level.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I think there are only 3 actual bosses, big bosses, maybe 4. I might be wrong. There might be 4 or 5, but I remember 3.
You're reviewing the game. You're never wrong. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, there was one. The last one is the one that got me. And then the second time I did it, I freaking red rummed that person. It was ridiculous. It was so weird. It was like, I get it now, and then I beat it.
That's good.
One of the other bosses though, I definitely cheesed the hell out of it though, and it wasn't even that I could have avoided that, right? Because I know some people are very much like, oh, you cheese it, you cheater, blah blah blah. It's like I could not cheat it, or else I'd have to restart the entire level.
Yeah.
There's an instance. This is going to be minor spoilers if you're really into the Minecraft lore. There's a boss battle, and I think they've kind of showed it to or teased it at least in footage. There's a boss battle with a what's the red stuff called?
Redstone.
Red rock, redstone. There's a redstone golem, and it's a big boy. It's a big boy because there's other redstone what are they? Redstone?
Yeah, redstone.
Okay, there's other redstone golems around they still have like their own separate health bar, but it's not as big. He's not as chunky. He's not big. He's not a big boy.
Sorry, gotcha.
Yeah, he definitely murdered me like in 2 seconds. But that's the thing is like in that boss battle, right before you do it, there's a gate that shuts behind you. When I died, it spawned me behind that gate. So I was now on the outside of that area.
Oh no.
Right? And I didn't want to try to go around it because there is an area where like it looks like you might be able to step and go back in. But it's also like, why would I? This thing's gonna kill me, you know?
No, for sure.
But you are able to shoot your arrows like through the gate. Kinda. Like if you go up close to it, you could kind of like shoot your arrows through the gate. So I just kept on like spamming like my arrow button until that thing died. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll win.
Listen, we're gamers. We understand. We will exploit as much as you can. You allow us to.
If the game presents it, it's part of the game. I didn't cheat. It's just part of the game.
It's part of the game.
That's not my fault.
No, 100%.
But yeah, so there were those kind of moments too. I think there was one other time where I ended up cheesing it because there was another redstone golem, the normal ones, still big boys. But there was a point where he tried walking at me, but then for some reason he got stuck on a wall. Like he just kept on walking, but he was just stuck on this corner. So like half of him was still open. So I'm like, I'm just gonna shoot my arrows at him until he's dead.
That's hilarious.
And I did it. It was fine. But yeah, for the most part, it definitely is easier in the front end. And it gets pretty hard at the very end.
Gotcha.
But I would still say this is definitely like really good for all ages, just because of one, it's Minecraft. Obviously, like it's supposed to be for all ages, for kids, because Minecraft is not just for kids, really. No. I mean, it's kind of for everyone, right? Like it's a building tool. It's used to express like art or make art and stuff like that, and it's also meant for like to build cool buildings and stuff. That's not just for it's like Legos,
No, 100%. I mean, I was that dumb kid that was like, I'm gonna put "I love you" in dirt and show this to my girlfriend at the time, and she's gonna be like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" So, but it's for everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely like for everyone and stuff like that. And
okay,
I think it's the same thing here. There's definitely like a challenge if you want it. I will say that like I didn't feel like those boss battles or some of those harder fights felt like there was like a big strategy. I mostly like there was a point where I got an artifact, which are basically how you get your special abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I had an artifact that made me like a tank, so I got increased defense, and then also one that increased my attack speed. So all I would do in those boss fights, because some of them I'm like, I legitimately can't like I can't avoid some of these hits. It's like I just can't.
Yeah.
Because your dodge, like in some, I think in Diablo there's like, I think you have like an invincibility when you dodge roll. In this you don't. So when you dodge roll, and you get hit, it still hits you. It doesn't not hit you.
No,
that makes sense.
For sure.
So there's just moments where like I'd be stuck in a certain corner, and this certain attack basically chips off like 3/4 of your health. I'm like, well, all right, I'm gonna use my tank thing. I'm gonna just run up next to him, hit my attack speed thing, and just hit him as much as I can, and then run away. And then there is a potion button that is on a cooldown. You don't have to like get potions. So I just run away, do the potion, run a little bit, make sure it's all set and ready for me to go, and then rinse repeat. And that's how a lot of those encounters went. And I felt like that's where like the strategy of like, okay, well, this is their weakness, blah 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 blah. There was none of that. It was just like, I'm just gonna tank it and just hit them as much as I can until I can't. But there are like certain encounters that kind of, you have to look at what enemies are there and which ones you have to take out first and which ones you don't. Like creepers are always ones you kind of want to take out first, because if you get hit by one, it takes off more than half of your health. Or there's times where there's I forgot what they're called, but they could like mind control things or make things stronger. So you have to get rid of those ones first before getting rid of the rest of the enemies. So there's like strategy there in those normal encounters. But yeah, and like the boss encounters and stuff, is just me tanking it and just hitting them as much as I can until one of us lost health and died. So yeah, it was like a game of chicken basically.
Gotcha. You play this game alone, is that correct?
I did, yeah.
Do you think this game is more fun with 4 people? Because the footage that we're showing is primarily showing like a group of 4 people having at it and having fun. And the ads look insane in terms of how many. Is it that many when you're by yourself? Or does it seem overwhelming at all?
When I did, this morning, I did a higher difficulty when I'm on just the adventure mode right now.
Yeah.
I did one full, like, normal playthrough of it. And yeah, I did one of the first levels, and there's a part that it definitely increases the amount for sure. There are a lot of zombies and stuff out there.
Yeah.
The thing of it is that like those zombies and like what are they? The skeleton archers.
Yeah.
Those only take a hit. And I think later on they maybe take 2 hits, but they're really almost like a non-threat. They only become annoying once you pair them up with like a bunch of like people that take like 4 or 5 hits. Then you get overwhelmed and you're like, this is a bad time.
Those skeleton archers are a pain in the ass in normal Minecraft, so I'm so happy to hear that they're one hit. I'm just gonna chop their heads off.
But when they're in like a pack, and like there are points where you do get overwhelmed, they are a bitch. Like they can be really annoying. And that's kind of how some of it is. But like overall, I think I would say there's like definitely a ton of enemies on the screen. Not in that first playthrough, but definitely later on. And I will say that it probably is more fun with more people. I think even games like Diablo are more fun with more people, But I still think you could. I definitely had fun playing by myself though. Like I definitely had a good time just beating up some skeletons and stuff. Like it was fun for sure.
Oh, for sure. And of course, like at Diablo, there's different classes. What were some of the class options, and what did you choose?
There are no class options.
There are no class options. So I know. So okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and go into that.
So everything. This is such a weird thing, because this is kind of like, in some ways, why it's good, and for some ways, why it's bad.
Okay.
As we mentioned like before, like Minecraft is definitely like, it's aimed towards kids, but it is for everyone, right? I think the game kind of simplifies a lot of those mechanics from other, dungeon crawling games like this.
Yeah.
It kind of simplifies it. So there aren't any classes. There aren't even like individual pieces of armor, right? Like where, some games you'll have individual armor sets, and it's like it's one straight up for your head, for your arms, for your legs, for your body. And then there's different weapons and shields or offhands or whatever you have, and different ranged weapons. There's like a ton of different gear options, tons of different like things that synergize together to make this crazy awesome killing machine. It's really cool and it's fun and it's awesome. This simplifies it in the most simplest way it can.
Right.
So like I said, there's no class options. There are only 4 types of gear, I guess, technically. There's your main melee weapon, or just a melee weapon, not a main. There's only one. So there's a melee weapon, a ranged weapon, and then your armor. And then artifacts. But you have 6 slots. 3 of those slots are artifacts. Artifacts are what give you special abilities like fire arrows or what was another one that I had? Or you could have like a pet. So like one of the ones that I have right now on my guy has a pet llama and it spits at people. It's pretty sick. There's another one that like it's like a cube or something. It's like some soul cube. Isn't that a freaking Hellraiser thing? Soul cube. What is it called?
Oh yeah.
It's what a H, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, it's gonna bother me.
I should watch that movie tonight. I haven't seen it in so long.
Don't.
It's good. It's a good movie.
I watched it and I was like, this is...
Hellraiser's rad. It's kind of
we should be talking about that with a kids game.
The reason why why the plot exists is kind of weird, but it's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah,
Minecraft.
there's like I had an artifact before where when you kill people, the cube takes its souls, and then awesome. You could shoot those souls as like a laser beam. It's pretty rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like different gear that like kind of works together, but that's kind of what like my big issue is that like in like other dungeon crawler games, I feel like your gear and everything is meant to work in a certain way, you know? Yeah. Like it works for your class and in turn like makes you stronger and makes you, I don't know, it fits your play style and everything like that. You chose a certain class and a certain kind of play style and all of your gear and abilities and stuff reflect that, and it makes your character stronger. And I feel like in this that doesn't exist, right?
Yes.
Because the abilities that you can choose don't really go with any of like the enchantments you get on your weapons. Also, the enchantments on your weapons are totally random and they can't be changed.
Really?
Right? So you can't really like, unless you like sheer luck, like you can't really get any synergy with all of your stuff to make certain moves like just crazy strong or anything.
Gotcha.
You're kind of just going out, like just trying to work with what you get, which in some ways is good because it makes you figure things out, right? It makes you figure out how to play this in an effective way.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, like your gear and stuff, so gear has certain stats, but it also has a power level like Destiny. It has like a power level, and power level is really how you progress through the game. So you're constantly changing your gear, like all the time. The one nice thing, I guess, is that when you salvage a gear that's already been enchanted, you get all those points back. It's fine. It's you then just put it into whatever else you want to. And whether it be the new piece of gear that you replace it with or in a other piece of gear that you already have, you can do whatever with those points, which is nice. But you kind of don't get any synergy with any of your pieces of gear, your abilities, like your artifacts or anything. And I think that's kind of where it gets like too simple.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's just there's not enough. There's just not enough there. And then also like just in customization or not necessarily customization, but like upgrading your armor and stuff is just, you can't do it at all, right? Like let's say I find like, for example, I did find a piece of armor that I really liked. It was like a unique piece of armor. It looked like I was wearing a fox, which is kind of fucked up, but it looked pretty cool. And I like the stats that were on it, and because it kind of fit with like some of the stuff that I was currently doing, and it was like the most fun I had because it wasn't working like super well together, but it was working as well together as anything else that I did.
Sure.
And I just liked how the character looked and everything like that. And I had to get rid of it for like this common, normal freaking steel like armor, knight armor that looked lame. And I'm like, dang, dude, I want to look like a fox again. That was pretty cool. And now I'm looking like this dumb knight with this blocky ass armor. Like I don't want to look.
It sucks that they have that, and that it doesn't. In the same way that like the Assassin's Creed had to add that later, where basically the armor that you're wearing is different from the armor that you've chosen like in terms of stat boosts and stuff like that.
It's not even that. It's just that you're kind of you can't.
Well, no, I'm saying that's how they did it in that game, where I wish that like you could have the stat boost.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it looked like the thing that you've been wearing the whole game, you know?
I think that's what transmogrifying is.
That's what that is, yeah. And that's where, like, you know, if you want to look like, and specifically in, like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, if you want to look like Wonder Woman, there's an outfit that looks like it, but you could take all the stats of all the other stuff.
Yeah, and I wish even that, like, you could lock in certain stats or something to that effect, or even, like, roll on stats, like, for your thing, like, maybe, because you get a currency, like this green you get emeralds as currency.
Gotcha.
And really all you can do with it is that I think after the second level you complete, you get a vendor that gives you gear, like weapons, whatever, and the other ones that give you artifacts. And it's random. You can't choose. It's just like you're buying a random. I don't like throwing around the term loot box, but you're buying a random artifact or a random piece of gear, which can be either, and it's not like you could choose like, oh, I want a random weapon or a random ranged weapon or a random piece of armor.
Yeah.
It's a random one of those three.
Gotcha.
And it could be something that's really good. It could be something that's shite. It could be whatever. Yeah, and that's what kind of sucks, right? Like, because you wish you could kind of use that currency for something else, like really customizing how your character is.
Yeah.
And I kind of get why they don't do that, because then it kind of goes away from kind of the simplicity of that game, which I get why they do it. It's kind of like it's a really good like gateway to dungeon crawlers in a way, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of loses some of its kind of replayability in a way. Like, sure, you got like all these levels and stuff and all these difficulty options and playing through it and getting that better gear, but I wish I could like give myself the goal of like, okay, and that's kind of like what you do in Diablo. You give yourself the goal of like, I want to get this piece of gear, I want to get this set or something like that, and then you go for it and you try and you keep on playing until you are satisfied with what you got. And I guess it's the same way here, but I wish you had a little bit more control of what you have and what your character can really look like.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. So
okay.
Yep.
All right. I guess my major last two questions. Question one: can you mine in the game?
No.
So there's no mining. Okay.
No mining, no crafting.
That was question number 2. Is there any crafting in the game?
Yeah, like I said, like it's simple, and I think that's in a way it helps it. And I guess even like looking at how much the game is, it's like a $20 game, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Or
like
Game Pass.
Or Game Pass. It's a pretty straightforward experience, but it's still really fun. I think it's worth playing. But yeah, it is definitely like somewhat bare bones. But I feel like it's fairly polished. There were times where I had some hitching in frame rate. Like every single level I played, there was one time where it would just like stop to a halt for like half a second and then it'll continue.
Gotcha.
But the rest of it like was super smooth, even transitioning into different areas, because there's some levels where you're going to go through like a doorway and it goes into another area. Totally seamless. But there's always one moment, and it could be any time, where it'll just drop like for a second or less than a second, and then it'll just keep on going.
Gotcha.
There was only one time where it like dropped frames to like 20, and it was when it was like 20 frames per second or something like that, where it was like, because I think it runs at around 60. It like pans out a little bit, so you see more of the area, and while it panned out, it dropped frames for sure. And that was like, and it was just that one instance that it did it. It didn't do it throughout the rest of the game at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but the weird thing was that was like my first playthrough where it hitched on like at least once every level. I just recorded some footage of like the first 2 levels, a tutorial one, and then the first main level, with like a new character. because I forgot to do that when I forgot to do that when I forgot to record it initially. So I made a new character, and yeah, when I played those first two levels, it definitely hitched like 2 or 3 times each level. I'm like, that's weird. It didn't do that initially. Why is it doing it now? It's just weird. Like,
Yeah.
the more I play it, the more it starts to like kind of poop out on me. But it's still like a fun time. Like, I'm still having a really great time with it and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I think for the review, I have to see, because we're still in the process of our reviews editor, well, managing editor, also Logan Moore is going to be looking after it. But I wanted to give it an 8, so I think that's probably what we'll end up going with. So it'll probably be an 8 initially. I wanted to go between an 8.5 and a 9. I was like debating on which one I wanted to choose, but then I started writing, and my writing style, every time I write, I always speak negatively of stuff. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. but it was like, for some reason, I just go to that, and then I sound more down than I actually am, kind of. But I don't know. It's weird. Writing's a weird process. And then I found out, I'm like, well, maybe this is an 8. But I do really like it, and I think this will end up, if I play it more, and I still and I don't know. I feel like I want to play it more, and so like, even outside of me doing a review.
Here's what I'll ask: is this definitely possibly a game that could benefit from future drops with like future updates and future packs and like?
So again, this is kind of going into spoiler territory. It definitely teases like newer stuff, and then also even on the map, there's like a section of it that says like, island something isn't unlocked yet, it'll be ready later. Like, they're definitely going to have more stuff to it, and I think having it constantly update like that, I think will be awesome. And if they do that, if they do regular content drops, kind of, I'm always gonna say Diablo, because that's the one I really know, honestly.
Sure.
And this is the one that like it reminds me of for sure, like specifically Diablo 3. Like, that would be awesome. Like, that would be really cool if that game did that, especially for like it being a Game Pass game. And like, if you're on Game Pass, it's something that you just have already. It'll be on there day one. But also, it's like a $20 game. Like, this is like $20, and I feel like there's a ton of replay value. Sure, like it's maybe 4 hours. My timer is probably off, because there were times where I just paused the game, and then I had to be honest, I had to poop. And then so maybe
it's some things you could leave out of the podcast. Just saying.
It's fine. I had to go potty, and and it so probably my time is a little bit off. It said like 5. I think it said 5 hours exactly when I looked at the timer on like the Xbox stats sheets, because they don't have like an actual timer.
It's almost as short as Resident Evil 3.
Yeah. So like the one playthrough is pretty short. You could honestly, if you just run through it and you're good at the game, you could probably beat it in like 3.5 hours. But I think if you take the time to explore it a little bit, it'll probably take about 4 to 5 hours. Because I would say that I took some time to explore each area until like the ending, where I'm like, okay, I just want to beat this game now, because I need to write a review, which is always the crux of reviewing a video game.
For sure.
But yeah, I definitely want to put more time into it. Like, I'm going to be recording this footage tonight, and it's more just, I just want to play more. Like, I want to like level up my character and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, like if they could continue like these content drops and stuff like that, I think it'd be awesome. I'm not sure if that stuff's going to be free or if they're going to make you pay more. But if they had like an expansion, I guess maybe they'd make you pay for it. But if they did like some cool like here's like a level or something, or like something that changes up the game a little bit for like a week or so, you know, like some seasonal content that's free, I think that'd be really cool, especially for something that's pretty cheap and it's fun. But yeah, like I said, it's super replayable even after you beat it. Like, you have those other 2 difficulty levels to complete it, so really you're looking at like probably around like 10 to 12 hours if you want to beat all 3 difficulty levels, which is kind of like the reason why you kind of play these kind of things, right? Like, you play it to grind, to get the best gear and stuff, but also to play it on the hardest difficulty that you can, because I know that was kind of the allure of playing Diablo is like, I'm playing on freaking Inferno difficulty, whatever the hell, and I'm just one-shotting all these people. It feels freaking awesome. Like it's, and I hope it could kind of have that kind of same feeling. But as far as what I've played, even like on adventure level, like on some of the middle adventure levels, like it doesn't feel like that. And that's kind of like, I think my main issue with it is that it doesn't, nothing, just the gameplay, like in all of its mechanics and stuff, don't synergize as well as I would like it to, or at least maybe I'm just bad at it. But I to me it feels like it's just nothing synergizes together. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess on that note, I think that pretty much wraps up pretty much what we have to say about Minecraft Dungeons. Again, it's $19.99 if you want to buy the game on Xbox, and it's on PC if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
it's also on Game Pass
PS4 and Switch.
That's right. It is on those other
platforms. What's wild?
Right?
That means that there's going to be an Xbox Game Studio logo on a PlayStation and Switch game.
Weird. That is.
Now, isn't that weird?
That is very weird. All right. Well, welcome to the new future.
I like almost want to buy it on PlayStation to see if it shows it, because I don't know.
That's very true. I'm very curious about that. Yeah. So anyways, thank you so much. Where can people find you on the internet when it comes to when your review comes out? What date does it actually come out?
The game or the review?
Both.
The review will be on DualShockers.com, www.worldwideweb.dualshockers.com. It should be on the front page there. I'm not quite sure exactly the time, but it should be up there sometime tomorrow.
Okay.
The game comes out May 26th, 2020. If you did not know, if you were wondering, yes, there is video games still coming out during these troubling times.
Yes.
And you know, it's a good time. Yeah, people can find me here. I'm in Illinois.
Yeah. Go ahead and just tell us everybody your address.
Yeah, I'll give you my phone number, everything. No, you can find me on Twitter at the Michael Ruiz. I think if you want, you can find me on Instagram. I think I'm also the Michael J Ruiz there. I'm not sure, but if you really like beer, I post a lot of beer pictures.
If you like beer, skateboarding, and drumming, that's the place to go.
I should do a video, Mario. I got an idea.
All right,
I'll talk about it with you later. But it'll be really bad. Okay. Maybe we should do it.
Okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe we should. Maybe the cops will see this. Okay. Thank you so much. And of course, you can find me here on the DualShockers YouTube channel at youtube.com/DualShockers, where we're going to be posting more discussion videos as well as potentially reviews for multiple games. I believe depending on how I'm feeling, we're going to get a Maneater review video out soon, and then maybe potentially a Minecraft Minecraft Dungeons video. Just gameplay. Obviously, our Twitter handles are below us. I'm that Rivera on Twitter. He is the Michael Ruiz.
Also, I want to give a quick
plug on. Sure.
One of our writers, Ben Bayless, wrote a really good article.
Oh yes, yeah. Thank you.
And accessibility, and I think people should. I think people should read that. It's really well done. I think it's one of the good ones that came out today. I mean, they're all good. I'm just saying, it was a good article. I edited it. It was a fun time to edit. I really liked what Ubisoft and Ben did there. So
no, 100%. Yeah, shout out to Ben Bayless for writing out that review. And on that note, till next time, take care.
Bye.
Goodbye. ASMR time.